And sometimes, especially if Hajj is during the winter months, then it becomes difficult. It is more difficult because it gets very cold. Ala kulli hal, once a person sleeps, and as a side benefit, the scholars in Islam, they mention that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to pray tahajjud every night. The Prophet ﷺ used to pray tahajjud every single night in his whole life, except, they say, for the night of Muzdalifah. This night, it is recorded that the Prophet ﷺ slept through the whole night without waking up and praying tahajjud. And the scholars, they say, this is one of the signs that it shows how physical the Hajj is. Imagine walking to different places and doing all these deeds and actions. It takes a lot of effort, right? So this is just as a side benefit. Some of the scholars have mentioned that this night is one of the few, if not the only night, where it is recorded that the Prophet ﷺ did not wake up to pray the tahajjud. So once a Muslim goes to sleep and wakes up the next morning is the 10th of Dhul-Hijjah. The 10th of Dhul-Hijjah. This day is called Yawmul Hajj al-Akbar. Yawmul Hajj al-Akbar, meaning the big day of Hajj. Why is it called the big day of Hajj? Because this is the day that the Hujjaj, they perform the majority of their deeds, the things that are needed for the Hajj. So that day is a very busy day. The Hujjaj, they have to go to a number of different places. This is the day, one of the days where you throw the stones at the Jamarat, the places where the Muslim is required to throw the stones. And we'll get into that later. So basically this day is a very, very busy day, from morning until nighttime. The Hajj, the person that's undertaking Hajj, he is very preoccupied, he is very busy. Whereas if you compare it to the people who are not performing Hajj, okay, if you happen to be one of those people that are not going for Hajj, what is this day? What do we do during that day? It's our Eid, right? So I remember when I was doing the Hajj and I woke up that morning, and you could listen through the radio the Eid khutbah that was happening at from Masjid al-Haram and different masajid, that they were preparing for Eid and so on, whereas you had a very long day ahead of you. Okay, so this day is called Yawmul Hajj al-Akbar. Once that day is over and you've completed that day, you've done the majority, the most important aspects of Hajj. And the scholars in Islam, they've said that as soon as you've completed, and we'll mention in detail the actual things that need to be done, once a person has completed those actions, and the final thing that needs to be done on that day is the sacrifice. Okay? So once the sacrifice is made and you've got confirmation, because sometimes you might do the sacrifice yourself, and if that is not possible, then you get a confirmation from whoever you appointed to make the sacrifice on your behalf. You get the confirmation, and once you get the confirmation, you are allowed to shave your head. Then you shave your head, and once you've shaven your head, everything that was prohibited for you in terms of using perfume, cologne, fragrance, it becomes permissible for you again. You can take off the ihram, the clothes that you were wearing for Hajj, and you can put on your normal clothes. The only thing that is still not permissible for you after this point is intimacy, being intimate with your spouse. Anything else becomes permissible. So this shows us that this is a point where you come very far in your Hajj. And what is left is much easier than what came before. After the 10th day, there are 2 or 3 more days. Okay, 2 or 3 more days. And the reason why I say 2 or 3, it will become apparent later. These days are known as Ayyam Tashriq. Ayyam Tashriq. And these are days where the sacrifice, the animals that were slaughtered, the meat of it is distributed amongst the people. So the Muslims enjoy some of that, and it becomes a source of happiness. There are still certain actions, deeds that need to be performed. One of those is throwing the stones at the Jamarat. And a Muslim does that once a day throughout the 2 or 3 days that are left. Now, the reason why I say 2 or 3 days is because a person has an option here. Okay, a person has an option. You can, after the 10th day, you can remain for day 11 and day 12 as a minimum. Everyone has to remain for day 11 or day 12. But day 13 is an option. The 13th day becomes an option. And if a person travels, leaves before that, it should be because of a reason. Perhaps they don't feel too well, or they need to be elsewhere. The only reason that is not valid, that the scholars in Islam mentioned, is that a person is tired of Hajj, or any evil reason. Anything other than that, it is completely up to the person. So what is important is that the person remains for the 11th and the 12th day, and the 13th day, it becomes a choice that is left up to the individual. And obviously, without a doubt, remaining an extra day and completing more deeds is more virtuous, it is better. But again, the choice is up to the individual. So we have these 5 days. The first day is Yawm Tarwiyah, and which is the 8th day, and then we have Yawm Arafah, the 9th day, and then we have Yawm al-Hajj al-Akbar, the 10th day, which is the Yawm al-Eid. It is also known as Yawm Nahar, Yawm Nahar, meaning the day of sacrifice. And there's actually a specific hadith from the Prophet ﷺ that he said, there's no day better in the entire year other than this day. I mean, this day is the best of all the days throughout the whole year, Yawm al-Nahar. So this is the day of Eid. This is a day that is very special, and it has a lot of virtue. And then after these days is what is known as Ayyam Tashriq. Ayyam Tashriq, and these are days where the meat is distributed amongst the Muslims, and it is a source of happiness for them. And there are still certain things that are required from the Muslim to perform during the Hajj. The Hajj is not completely over yet. And then that last day, the 13th day, it is a choice that is left to the person. If they want, they can remain. If they want to, they can leave. So inshallah, with that, we will conclude today's class. And like I said before, inshallah, we will recap next week, and we will go through some of the actions that are required. Because today we spoke about the days. Next time, inshallah, we'll go into the deeds that make up the Hajj. And with that, inshallah, we'll conclude. وَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا وَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ فِيكُمْ. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.